All right, this is the read aloud for the Unit 7 test, Rise of Nationalism and Imperialism. Okay, so the passages for questions 1 and 2. The Opium War of 1839 through 1842 was short and one-sided due to the superiority of European weapons, which came as a complete surprise to the Chinese. In the first skirmish alone, in July of 1839, 2 British warships defeated 29 Chinese ships. On land, the Chinese and their medieval weapons were no match for British troops, armed with the state-of-the-art muskets. By the middle of 1842, British troops had seized Hong Kong, taken control of the key river deltas, and occupied Shanghai and several other cities. The Chinese were forced to sign a peace treaty that granted Hong Kong to the British, opened 5 ports to free trade of all goods, and required the payment of reparations to the British in silver, including compensation for the opium that had been destroyed by the Commissioner Lim, Tom Sandridge. Number 1. Which term best characterizes the events described in this passage? A. Industrialization. B. Imperialism. C. Containment. D. Cultural diffusion. Number 2. What was the immediate result of the Opium War described in this passage? A. Signing of the Treaty of Nanking. B. Forming of the Guandang. C. The beginning of the Boxer Rebellion. D. Organizing the Taiping Rebellion. Number 3. Which area of the world was most directly affected by the decisions made at the Berlin Conference? A. Africa. B. China. C. India. D. South America. Okay, number 4. Colonizers' logic. These natives are unintelligent. We can't understand their language. Chinua, Nigeria. Voices from the 20th Century Africa. The logic of the colonizers described in this Nigerian poem reflects their A. Utopian plan, B. Educational goals, C. Militaristic behavior, D. Ethnocentric attitude. Number 5. One major reason European countries engaged in imperialism in the late 19th century was to A. Gain a better understanding of unknown territories, B. Ease tensions with their rivals, C. Develop treatments for diseases, D. Obtain markets for their manufactured goods. Number 6. What was a major reason European nations competed for control of Africa during the second half of the 1800s? A. Africa had a wealth of natural resources. B. Slave labor was needed in the Americas. C. African nations were offered religious and political freedom. D. Europeans needed land for the excess population. Number 7. The 19th century ideas of social Darwinism and the white man's burden were often used to justify A. Isolationism, B. Appeasement, C. Imperialism, D. Disarmament. Number 8. During the 19th century, the Chinese and British went to war over the importation of what good into China? A. Coffee, B. Opium, C. Rice, D. Spices. Number 9. What event best completes the diagram? Late 1700s, Continental Congress declares people's right to overthrow the abusive government. Early 1800s, A. Prussia assists in establishing the concert of Europe. B. Monarchy is restored to the following the French Revolution. C. Spanish colonies in the Americas achieve independence. D. Nationalist movements successfully unify Italy. Number 10. Which statement best explains imperialism? A. A government's control over economic planning. B. A policy gaining colonies to establish new markets. C. The publication of information to promote citizens' loyalty. D. The glorification of military power by political leaders. Number 11. During the Meiji Restoration, what was the goal of Japan's government reforms? A. To modernize the country. B. To expand Parliament's power. C, to end mandatory military service, D, to limit land ownership of the wealthy. Number 12, what was the effect of imperialism in Africa? A, to improve working conditions for the natives, B, dependence on manufactured goods, C, the belief in superiority of African culture, D, the exploitation of natural resources like diamonds. Number 13, what was the major factor that allowed for major imperialist powers to dominate large parts of Asia and Africa during the 19th and 20th centuries? A, their technological and military superiority, B, the desire of natives to convert to Christianity, C, the willingness to respect traditions and customs, D, most nations already used European currency. Number 14, what best describes the condition of Germany after World War I? A, struggling to develop a stable government, B, focused on rebuilding its military, C, determined to reestablish alliances, D, concentrating on preserving economic strength. Number 15, Karl Marx's slogan, "Workers of all lands unite," is associated with which economic theory? A, capitalism, B, utopianism, C, socialism, D, communism. Number 16, which term is defined as a payment for war damages? A, mandate, B, armistice, C, reparation, D, militarism. Number 17, what statement best describes militarism? A, establishing a classless society through government force, B, the policy to maintain a large armed force of aggression, C, the policy of requiring citizens to serve during a country's crisis, D, restricting activities of the army when maintaining public order. This World War poster is an example of A, diversity, B, dissent, C, toleration, D, propaganda. Number 19. During World War I, developments in military technology led to A, an early victory by the Allied powers, B, the establishment of industrial capitalism, C, the use of poisonous gas in submarine attacks, D, an increase in ethnic tension in Western Europe. Number 20. Most people who protested in the 1905 Bloody Sunday as a part of the Russian Revolution belong to which group? A, the clergy, B, soldiers, C, workers, D, the nobility. 21. Which event sparked the outbreak of World War I? A, the attack on Pearl Harbor by Japan, B, Germany's invasion of Poland, C, the Bolshevik coup d'etat in Russia, D, the assassination of the Austrian Archduke. The value of German currency, 1914 through 1923. Number of German marks to the US dollar. In 1914, it was 4.2. In 1919, it was 4.0. In 1921, it was 3.95. In 1923, it was 4 million. The information in this chart shows why many Germans after World War I were what? A, sympathetic to restoration of a traditional government. B, seeking strong leaders who could improve the economy. C, apologetic about the actions that had caused the war. D, convinced that pacifism would guarantee their future. 23. Which ideology called for overthrowing existing governments to create a classless society? A, capitalism, B, communism, C, fascism, D, monarchism. Number 24. One reason the Bolsheviks gained peasant support during the Russian Revolution was because the Bolsheviks promised to A, redistribute land, B, abolish communes, C, bring modern technology to Russian farms, D, maintain agricultural price support program. Number 25. Bloody Sunday, the assassination of Tsar Nicholas, and the Romanov family are all associated with what? A, World War I, B, the Neolithic Revolution, C, the Russian Revolution, D, the Russo-Japanese War. Number 26. What changed the situation illustrated in the charts below? The stalemate in World War I, trench warfare, new types of weapons, and the failed military plans. A, the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, B, the formation of secret alliances, C, the entry of the United States into the conflict, D, the use of submarine warfare. Number 27. What was not regarded as a primary cause of World War I? A, alliances, B, nationalism, C, militarism, D, communism. Number 28. What was the immediate result of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand? Germany signed a peace treaty ending World War I. B, Great Britain formed an alliance with Belgium. C. Russia's monarchy was overthrown in Russia and the Russian Revolution. D. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. 1917, the Russian Revolution. Political and economic failure of the provisional government in Russia during the 1900s led to what? A. The persecution and insurgency of leaders. B. The restoration of the Tsar's rule. C. The rise of the Bolshevik Party. D. The ratification of the Treaty of Versailles. Number 30. The secret agreement in which Germany promised to return territory from the United States to Mexico in exchange for Mexico's assistance during World War I is known as what? A. The 14 Points. B. The Triple Alliance. C. The Zimmermann Telegram. D. The Schlieffen Plan. 31. What was one way various countries contributed to the Great Depression? A. By focusing on modernization. B. By imposing protective tariffs. C. By expanding trade agreements. D. By limiting the industrial production. Russia in 1917-1918. Tsar Nicholas II was abdicated in the Russian imperial throne. Blank. The Bolsheviks seized power and became the Communist Party. Russia signed the peace treaty with the Central Powers. What best fills in that? A. Vladimir Lenin returned to lead the Russian Revolution. B. Leon Trotsky escaped Russia for exile in Mexico. C. The Russian government adapted the new economic policy. D. The Red Army won the Russian Civil War. 33. Baron de Montesquieu believed that separation of powers would A. Prevent tyranny by acting as a check on powers. B. Restore authority to the Roman Catholic Church. C. Increase corruption of political authority. D. Decrease the power of the middle class. Number 34. The scientific knowledge and understanding that developed during the scientific revolution were most often based on A. Observation and experimentation. B. Church law and faith. C. Superstition and ancient practices. D. Geometric formulas and astrology. Number 35. What geographic condition contributed to the defeat of Napoleon's troops during the invasion of Russia? A. Drought. B. Typhoons. C. Severe flooding. D. Harsh winter. Number 36. What event in Great Britain is best supported by the data in the graph below? Cotton imports to England by the millions of pounds. A. The spread of industrialization. B. The rise of nationalism. C. The reliance on slave labor. D. Dependence of overseas markets. 37. Which factor contributed to both American and French revolutions? A. Invasion by a foreign military power. B. Resentment of over differences among classes. C. Lack of fair representation in government. D. Widespread poverty among the populations. 38. Which document is most closely associated with John Locke's social contract or theory of government? A. Albany Plan of Union. B. Declaration of Independence. C. Treaty of Paris. D. Sedition Act. Political, social, intellectual, and economic, the long-term causes of the French Revolution. Which statement is a valid generalization about the causes of the French Revolution? A. The monarchy was growing weaker because of Louis XVI. B. The revolution achieved its goal of establishing peace, democracy, and justice for all. C. The revolution was largely influenced by social and economic causes. D. The Enlightenment was the only cause of the revolution. 40. During the scientific revolution, the new approach to scientific investigation and discovery is known as what? A. The scientific method. B. The scientific manner. C. The scientific way. D. The scientific approach. This now concludes the read aloud for Chapter 7 test, The Rise of Nationalism and Imperialism. Thank you very much.